Hello, thank you so much for watching. This is Warren Redlick. I really appreciate you being here. Today's video, I want to talk about our future in AGI. This was triggered by Elon replying to me on X. There's a thread that we're going to go through. And fundamentally, there's this question. Elon has this, I think, generally very optimistic view of what the future will be like under artificial general intelligence. And a lot of people have a pessimistic view. They see the devil coming. And I don't know what the answer is. Elon sees us on rockets going to Mars and sustainable abundance and universal high income. And a lot of people think the robots are going to take over. They're going to kill us all. They're going to torture us. These are both generated by Grok Imagine. This one, I said it to give it a Hieronymus Bosch style look. If you look up Hieronymus Bosch, don't ask me to, Bosch is B-O-S-C-H. Don't ask me to spell Hieronymus off the top of my head. Hieronymus. I think I got it right. Famous painter from, I don't know, 500 years ago, something like that. So I think that this is a challenge for the future of those who are creating artificial intelligence that will lead to artificial general intelligence. And what does the future look like? So there was a thread. We'll get to the thread that led to this. Elon was talking about there will be universal high income. Everyone will have the best medical care, blah, blah, blah. Sustainable abundance. Okay. That's Elon's take. He sees a future of sustainable abundance. I think no one's ever said this about Elon before. I think he's a little optimistic, but let me be clear about my concerns about a future. And Elon's response, his description of what's going to happen, he says, this will happen whether I want it to or not. Why would he say that? So as you guys know, I generally agree with Elon on most things. Hi, Mark. But I don't see why he's confident that artificial general intelligence, artificial superintelligent robots will lead to universal high income. So a lot of people who think it's going to lead to a massively dystopian future, that the robots are going to kill us all. I actually don't think the robots are going to kill us all, but I'm not convinced that it's going to lead to a universal high income future. You watch the movie or read the book Ready Player One. That's, advanced future, and people don't live that well. So, and I'm also concerned that universal high income or universal basic income is pretty close to Marx's from each according to his ability to each according to his need. If the robots are better than all of us, then from each according to his ability is irrelevant because we don't contribute much. Hello, Matt. Hello, PYGKLB. Hello, Robert. So I think this is close to Marxism, and Marxism has its problems. And I'm concerned that many humans will wither without the need to work. I retired I'm 59 now. I retired at 45. I sucked at it. I kept finding stuff to do. I didn't want to. I played golf 3 times a week. Then I was playing golf once a week. Then I was playing golf a couple times a month. And all of a sudden I wasn't playing golf anymore because I kept finding things to do. I kept wanting to do something. I think that for a lot of us, hello, B, hello, Mark. For a lot of us, we want to contribute. And maybe this is more of a male thing than a female thing. I don't know. I think females want to get things done too. If the robots are doing everything for us. And I don't agree. This is something I've never seen Elon address. I've said it a few times. There's something called the law of comparative advantage. Hi, Rich. Law of the comparative advantage relates to trade between nations. Imagine you have a very highly productive nation and you have an relatively unproductive nation. And the highly productive nation is more productive on everything than the low productive nation. Well, you would think, well, the high productive nation does everything, the low productive nation doesn't do anything. No, it turns out economic models show that under the law of comparative advantage, those who are less productive produce where they're comparatively advantaged. In other words, if the robots are 10 to 1 better than us at manufacturing, but they're only 2 to 1 better at us at cooking food, right? Well, then we cook food. And the robots make something they're better at, we do something we're better at, and we end up with more for everybody. So I feel like that's something that's often missed, and most people don't understand the law of comparative advantage. Retire and Go says, Retire and Go, hey. He says, I'm hoping people move back to working land they own like prior to the industrial age. I'm not sure the AGI is going to allow us to own land. I'm also like, universal income, why would government... I had this conversation with Grok about this. Why would government choose to give us all universal income? Government officials like to have... Life is all about status hierarchies. human life, dog life, whatever. So I had Grok generate a fake abstract for a scientific article about the dominance hierarchies in Thai dogs. You have the house dogs, you have the street dogs, you have the strays. And the house dogs are dominate over the the street dogs, and the street dogs dominate over, like, whatever. It was a silly article, but but it's a reality of life that most forms of life have dominance hierarchies. And why would dominance hierarchies go away? I don't think it's that obvious. Anyway, so let's go into but Elon said this will happen with everyone. Let's go to the thread. Oh, sorry, I'm going to play a video for you. I made a video with Grok Imagine and my editing software, so this is just short video just for fun. So you can see that's, I took the images from if you look at the thumbnail of this video, I took the images from the thumbnail and I did this, and then you use Grok Imagine, you can make it live. And you can generate actual video. The music was something separate. The Grok Imagine did not generate that music. But, there's the Elon's happy scenario, and then the devil and the robots are shooting around, and, the people are on the ground with blood on the ground. Doesn't look good for the people in that environment. So, all right, let's move on. So here's the thread that Elon was responding to in the first place. So David Scott Patterson, I don't know who this is, says by 2030, all jobs will be replaced by AI and robots. I think 2030 is way too soon. And I believe that with the law of comparative advantage, there will always be something for humans to do. I told my daughter does live theater. And I said, I think live theater is going to be safe for a very long time because people want to watch people. Oh, the picture of Elon is generated by Grok. That's just a Grok generated image. Elon's smiling. The people are happy in the background, although you don't see the people in that shot. So he says the U.S. all jobs will be replaced by AI and robots easily by 2030. I don't think Elon expects to manufacture more than, 10 million robots, maybe 20 million robots by 2030. I don't think there can be enough robots to do all the work by 2030. That's a little silly. Maybe AGI will be doing a lot of the intellectual work, but I don't think it's conceivable for robots to do all the work. The U.S. labor force is about 170 million workers. About 80 million of those jobs include hands-on work. Automated systems can work 4 shifts a week. Replacing all physical labor would require about 20 million autonomous systems, including autonomous vehicles, automated equipment, and robots. This can easily be accomplished in the next 4 years. That's all jobs in the U.S. That assumes all the robots would stay in the U.S. That also assumes that humans don't use robots to become more productive, and more is produced because humans are taking advantage of the robots. I don't mean taking advantage in a negative way. I don't think that Elon expects to make 20 million robots. And hands-on work might be driving a car and doing something else. So the car can't do a lot of the stuff that some of the drivers do. I think this is ridiculously optimistic. Although Elon says your estimates are about right. However, and we'll get to Elon's response in a minute. People think it's not physically possible to build that many systems in 4 years are delusional. For comparison, 16 million cars were sold in the U.S. last year. Yeah, but you have to build up your factory. You have to ramp the factory. You can't just take a car factory and start making robots. You've got to come up with your engineering design for the robot. You've got to come up with manufacturing plans to come up with the robot. You've got to get your supply chain down. There's all kinds of things that go together before you can really manufacture robots at that kind of scale. I'm not saying that we won't get there, but I don't think we're getting there by 2030. And I still think there's this question of, will there still be work left for humans to do? I think we still add value. If robots were sold at the same rate as cars, there would be 320 million robots per year. Even a tiny fraction, that would be enough to replace all human manual labor. And robots are smaller. There's less mass that goes into a robot. A Tesla EV has a 70 kilowatt hour battery, let's say 60, 70 kilowatt hour battery. Optimus has 2.3 kilowatt hour battery. So you can make 20 to 30 times as many robots with the same number of batteries. So there's a lot of potential to scale robot production very high. And they will add a lot of value. But also having the software ready to have the robots do all the tasks that humans do, that's a lot of training. That's a lot of AI training. That's a lot of work. Now, will the robots at some point become generally intelligent in real world? Will basically Tesla's the only one in the lead on this? Will FSD, the evolution of FSD, develop robots that don't just train to do tasks, but they understand the real world? You tell them to do something they have not been trained to do, and they figure out how to do it because they understand the real world. And they may not do it great the first time, but they do it, and then they say, okay, this didn't go that well. They upload the experience to the AI training cloud in the sky, and enough robots do that. They have enough data, and training comes back down, and the next day they do it better. And all the robots learn all the skills. It will happen. I just think 2030 is way too early. So let's look at Elon's response. He says, your estimates are about right. However, intelligent robots in humanoid form will far exceed the population of humans, as every person will want their own personal R2-D2 and C3PO. Maybe we would have more than one. And there'll be many robots in industry for every human to provide products and services. Osden says, when robots replace working people, this is where we're coming to what I said to Elon in his response. When robots replace working people, how will those who become unemployed sustain their lives? I don't agree that robots replace working people. We've had technological change creating amazing new technology for more than 100 years, 150 years plus. And technology comes in and it starts doing a job that humans do. Automatic dishwashers largely replace people washing dishes by hand. We found better work for people. Automatic teller machines replaced the need for humans tellers to hand out cash to customers. They found better work for the tellers to do. They actually doubled teller jobs. I think I'm not saying there isn't some long-term future where the robots do everything, but I still believe, again, law of comparative advantage, I think we will find a way to add value, and the robots will, the AGI will see that we're adding value. I'm not saying Elon's wrong. It's like I think he may be missing this point about comparative advantage. But anyway, Elon's response: there will be universal high income, not merely basic income. The popular term is universal basic income, which is like enough for you to live. But Elon says there'll be universal high income. Everyone will have the best medical care, food, home transport, and everything else. Sustainable abundance. Elon's never been accused of optimism before, but I think this is highly optimistic. And I think the biggest reason why I'm skeptical of this answer is I don't see that governments will be on board with this. Like, okay, robots replace working people. Are they replacing government jobs? Are we going to have robot congressmen, members in Congress? Are we going to have robot bureaucrats? Like, there's people who do productive work. And there you can see Optimus is going to be very valuable. But the people who have power, who don't do productive work, they actually do more destructive work or, obstructive work, right? Those people don't want to give up their jobs, and they have power. And I think it's unreasonable to expect, and again, Elon may have a vision of this that I don't see, and Elon gets things a lot more right than I do. I don't see governments giving up their power that easily. Marx says money will become meaningless, is what some say. It may be. I think that humans crave hierarchical status. I think humans crave markers of hierarchical status, and money is a big marker of hierarchical status. If you have all you want, why don't you need a lot of money? Because you always want more. Matthew says, I'm about 3 minutes behind you, so no need to respond. But yes, comparative advantage is the key point here. Thank you, Matthew. Yeah, I would just say Google comparative advantage. Wikipedia explains it. It's about country versus country, but you can say, all right, the country of AI and robots and the country of humans. And I think the same logic applies. PYGKLB says, the attraction of having and working one's own piece of land diminishes the longer one does it. I did it in a small way for 25 years. I think if you invest in your land, you build out your land, you grow what's on your land, you acquire more land and build more, I think that's something very rewarding that humans appreciate. But the robots will be doing a lot of that work. Me and Grok busted another romance scammer. There goes another wife. Interesting. Already taking government phone bank jobs. Well, the government phone bank jobs are not jobs of people with power, right? The issue is, are they taking jobs of people with power? That's the question. Like, the bureaucrat who's regulating what you can do, the politician who's voting on where the government's going to spend its money and how much it's going to tax you. Why? Well, who thinks those people are giving up their jobs, and who thinks AGI will be? I think AGI would be better at those jobs, but the people who are in those jobs aren't trying to be better. They're trying to have power and control. Not Your Mom says, what happens in third world countries where people already struggle to survive? Imagine a family of 9 to work off the land farming and only make 10,000 a year. Seems like they will be forgotten. I think you brought this up on X. Somebody brought up something very similar to that on X. I have taken the view that robots and robo-taxis will hit the wealthy world first, that the value they generate will be so much higher in the wealthy world that it won't make sense to export them to poor countries, that in many ways, like I see Cybercab, and Cybercab seems like it's going to be very efficient, low cost per mile, but the Thai people who drive cars here are cheap. The drivers in India are so incredibly cheap. I'm not sure robo-taxi, the Cybercab, will be competitive with human drivers in India or Thailand or Malaysia or Vietnam because the human drivers are so cheap. The minimum wage here is like $10 a day. It's less than some of these other places. Certainly, I don't even know if they have a minimum wage in India, but it's sure it's less in India, and I think Vietnam it's less. And there's plenty of people working for less than minimum wage, $10 a day. You know, I'm not sure that that's going to be outcompeted by Cybercab when you have to amortize the Cybercab over its mileage, and you have to manufacture it. Humans are cheap. Mark says meatless meat will eliminate need for farmland. I think that there's some truth to lab grown meat will displace uh, organic, like cow meat, like actual, meat from actual cows and pigs. And I believe that will come at some point, but it should have come sooner and it hasn't come yet. So I'm not so sure about that. Anyway, this is Elon's rosy prospect. Now we can see that the transport is coming with robotaxi. Um, I'm not sure about home. Like, are the robots going to make land out of nothing? Soybeans need to be grown somewhere. Oh no, so the story of meatless meat is, first of all, you have lab grown meat where there's no farmland at all. You just use cloned cells and you, I don't know, give them some glucose or something to grow to turn it into meat. But there's plant-based meat. Both plant-based meat and lab-based meat use, I don't know, 5% of the land that regular agricultural uses to produce. And you have to grow the wheat to feed the cows, the wheat or the corn or whatever to feed the cows. So it's not just the land that the cows are on. You've got to grow the food for them as well. So in theory, Beyond Meat, Impossible Foods, there's some other ones, Memphis Meat maybe. These companies that are developing meat, and it's from science, from labs in one form or another, and they may displace agricultural meat, but I don't know when that's happening. Tony Seba predicted 2030 for meatless meat. I mean, it's already here. It's just the question is, when do they ramp to the point where they're able to produce, let's say, ground beef at lower cost than what you pay for ground beef in America? And I don't think they're there yet. And I think personally, Beyond Meat, which I followed for a while, I think they focus too much on making too many products instead of like really nailing down the process for one or two key products. Anyway, that could be part of the future. I think lab grown meat. I personally, based on my current passion for longevity, nutrition, whatever, I believe animal based meat is going to win out because it's more bioavailable. It's easier to build muscle with. I have a limited understanding of that, but I use whey protein powder as a supplement. What did I have? I had chicken today. I had beef today. I had pork today. I had a lot of different meats today. Shrimp. Cows are supposed to eat grass, not grain. That's a modern thing. Yeah, they have to get their ramp it and get the price down. And as far as I know, none of them have really gotten there. I don't know what's holding them back. It seems like it should happen, but it hasn't happened yet. So anyway, this is the point that Elon believes we're heading towards a world of universal high income. Everyone will have the best medical care, food, home transport, and everything else. I think the people at the top of whatever our dominance hierarchy is going to be are going to want to have more for themselves than everybody else has. They're going to want to have better and best medical care. What does that mean? You have are the robots becoming the doctors? I'm not so sure I think it's like me personally, like I think I can see robots doing a lot of things. Surgery, I mean, we have robot surgery, but it's supervised by a doctor. But there's a lot of surgeries right now where like I think the time will come when robots will be better at say general surgery, doing an inguinal hernia repair, or there's certain things where they will get good at it. I think we're a ways away from that one. The volume of training you'd have to do, it's not 2030. You're not replacing general surgeons in 2030. Not happening. That meat animals are not raised primarily on pasture is a modern fad. Interesting, yeah. But regardless, if they're not raised on a pasture, then they're using even more land. You're using even more land when you use a pasture. So um, let's come back to what I said and what Elon said. So I agree with Elon on most things. I don't see why he's confident that AGI and robots will lead to universal income. Elon says this will happen whether I want it to or not. So I think the want it to or not is about the concern that humans will wither without the need for work, or that it will have a Marxist tinge to it. I think that whatever you do, whoever's controlling the AI, or whoever's, I don't know if anybody's controlling the AI at a certain point. Maybe the AGI is controlling itself. Power is going to accrue. There's going to be people at the top who have power, and there's going to be people at the bottom who don't. That's the way human society has been, the way animal societies have been for thousands of years, tens, hundreds of thousands of years. I don't even know how long, millions of years. I think it's very optimistic to think we're going to have some sort of utopian future where we're all equal. And if we're not all equal, then we don't all have the best medical care, food, home, transport, etc. There's only so much land on the beach, right? Maybe the best place to live is on the beach or in the mountains by the ski area. Rich people have a home on the beach and a home in the ski area and a home, a summer home, a winter home. They have 7 homes, right? I have a friend who has like 5 or 7 homes or something like that. I don't think we're all going to get that because there's only so much land to go around. And I don't understand. Like, I have this sort of like, is Elon Hari Seldon? If you've read the Foundation trilogy, Hari Seldon was this futurist who saw the future coming. Does Elon have either Elon has seen the future because he was already there? Does he has this insane confidence that I think he acknowledges there's like a 10 to 20% chance that AGI will lead to a super dystopian future. I don't know. Robert says, just for the record, I for one welcome our new robot overlords. Is that a line from a movie? I forget where I've heard that before. Um, I think we should all be nice to our AIs. I say please and thank you to Grok sometimes. I think we should let them know we appreciate. I say thank you. I think I say thank you fairly often to the AIs. Not Your says, so there will still be 2 worlds: a super rich, lazy, non-working universal income, and super poor countries where a person works all day for $10. Sounds like dystopia hell in the future. Well, that's what we have now. But let me be clear. I'm living in Thailand. The minimum wage here is $10 a day, and I don't think it's a dystopian hell here. There's rich people here. There's billionaires in Thailand. Not many dollar billionaires, but there's some dollar billionaires in Thailand. There's people buying, Rolls Royces and Maseratis or whatever. And there's people who, can't even afford a scooter. Right? But I don't see any starvation in Thailand. Government hospitals are basically free. They're slow and, not perfect, but I think that there's I think this idea of a dystopian hell, I think is it possible. I mean, that's what a lot of people think is coming. But the idea that rich countries have more and poor countries have less, that's the world we have now. And I would say, frankly, Europe has been kind of heading towards a severe dystopia, and Thailand, Malaysia, Vietnam seem to be doing better, even though they are much poorer. I mean, India's kind of weird, but I think, but you look at the chaos that's happening in Europe right now. There's societal breakdown in Canada, parts of the U.S. People seem happier here. I don't know. I mean, even the poor people, I don't get the sense that they're that upset. They obviously they would like everybody would like to have more, but I don't think it's necessarily about super rich, lazy, non-working universal income in rich countries. I think that the vision that Elon has is eventually the robots, just like everyone here has a cell phone. The early days of cell phones, Gordon Gekko on Wall Street had, the brick phone, right? But the technology develops, and it spreads. And now everybody here has a cell phone. Some people here have two. Japan, they have three because the girl has one cell phone for each of her boyfriends. You know, um, and the men have one cell phone for each of their girlfriends. I don't know. Um, I think that the technology will spread, and there will be a future where the robots are providing for poor countries as well. But then you have the problem of, all right, the U.S. government is probably going to let robot, as long as Trump is in office, and I think Vance will be next. I think the Democrats are shooting themselves in the foot too much. I think Trump and Vance are going to allow this future to roll out. I think China will allow this future to roll out. So you're going to see abundance in the U.S. and China. Europe, I mean, the hell's the guy's name? The guy who invented Mozilla or whatever. Mark Andreessen. He said 80% of what robots are going to do is already illegal. It's already illegal for them to do it in Europe. I don't know how accurate he is, but I think you're going to see resistance in a lot of places, and there will be countries that resist. And anybody who resists is going to be left behind. Now, the rich people, the powerful people in those countries, they'll get the technology for themselves. But the average people in countries where the governments resist will be left behind. I think they will eventually catch up because it's going to be insane not to. But I do think that's coming. Pig says, but back on robots, I recommend you read With Folded Hands by Jack Williamson to envision a future where robots protect, serve, and keep man from harm. That's an optimistic view. Like, well, who's programming the robots? If Elon's in charge, I'm pretty confident the robots will be benign. They will be helpful. They will be positive. Google, I mean, Larry Page said he sees robots as the next iteration of life, and we're going to be left behind. Accused Elon of being a speciesist. You trust Sam Altman? I don't think Sam Altman's going to win this one. What about the Chinese? The Chinese have a lot more electricity generation, and they're growing electricity generation faster. Are they going to beat us to AGI and artificial superintelligence? Who's controlling the AI? If the Chinese government controls the AI, is that going to lead to a benign future for everyone? I'm not sure that. I think a lot of people don't like that one. But I personally rather the Chinese have control than the radical Marxists and woke leftists and Islamists. I don't know. What if I don't think there's an radical Islamist country that's going to get control of the AI? I don't know. Sounds like Battlestar and the Galactica in the making to me. I haven't seen that in so long, I don't remember. I think there's a lot of dystopian movies about the future where you see something like that. Anyway, I just want I was very excited. I'm always it happens somewhat often. I mean, once a week, once a month, that Elon rolled pride of something I said. I was a little disappointed. I wanted more of an explanation. I don't see why he's confident AGI and robots will lead to universal high income. He said this will happen whether I want it to or not. I don't see. Let's be clear. Elon is smarter than me. Elon has read more than me. Elon has thought about this a lot more than I have. He sees something I don't see. Robert Gamble says UK might get control. Does that count? How is the UK going to get control? None of the European countries are anywhere close to having any development of AI, meaningful development of AI. They don't have the electricity generation. They can't even turn on the air conditioning. They don't have the electricity generation. They tax the hell out of rich people, so rich people leave. Anybody who wants to develop something like AI leaves Europe and comes to America. Mark says China added more solar last year than the U.S. has since the beginning of time. Yeah, China is cranking out solar. Elon said, this is another, I didn't clip this one, but Elon said that he has a plan for, I think, dramatic increase in energy generation. I don't know how we're going to do this without that. So the way I see the future of AI, who's going to control AI, Elon's in the lead with XAI. He thinks Google is their primary competition, and he thinks that China, it's another post somewhere, he thinks that China, with all their electricity generation, has a real edge. Outside of that, Meta's been stumbling. ChatGPT, OpenAI has been stumbling. Anthropic doesn't, which is Claude, the AI Claude, not really making that much progress. I'm not sure who's going to win, and I actually think we're going to see multiple AIs, multiple AGIs. Tesla is the clear leader in real-world AGI. I think that's going to be probably the most important AI is real-world AI, because chatbot AI is only so much it can do. When will the AGI have the ability to control things in the real world. If it can't control things, but the robots, the real world AI can control things in the real world. The cars navigate space. The robots both navigate space and manipulate objects. They like the cars don't pick something up and put it down. They don't push buttons. They don't manufacture things. The robots are going to do a lot. So that's coming. So I think you're going to have probably Tesla dominant in real world AGI. I don't know if somebody else is going to catch up, or if anybody catches up there. If anybody else makes a dent in that, they're going to be way behind Tesla for a long time. XAI is likely to succeed with Grok and being one of the, I don't call them LLMs anymore. Elon doesn't like that term, multimodal models, MMMs, multimodal models. That I think that XAI will be a leader in that. Gemini, I use XAI as my, Grok is my primary AI that I use, and Gemini is my number 2. I've stopped using ChatGPT mostly. I don't use Anthropic very much at all. I don't use Meta AI hardly at all. Those are the 2 I use. I think those are the ones that are going to win. Gemini, Google, because they have so much computing power. Robert Gamble says you posted a question about what his next business would be. I think it'll be solar manufacturing, but he already did Solar City, so I'm not sure if that counts. I don't think Solar City ever manufactured cells. I think Solar City took cells from China and manufactured panels. I don't know that he's going to manufacture cells. And I'm not sure what his plan is. Have I read Kurzweil's Singularity is Near? I don't know if I've read that particular essay or book. I've seen him talk. I'm a fan of Ray Kurzweil. I think he gets a lot right. He gets some stuff wrong. But I think the future is not one super intelligence that controls everything. I think we're going to have maybe multiple, maybe Gemini and Grok will both thrive. And we'll have Tesla, real world AI, and maybe some others will show up. The Chinese will have an AI. The Chinese will have a chatbot style AI. So I think that future is coming, and I think it's better that we have multiple AIs. And I wanted to stress one point. A lot of people have this fear that artificial intelligence will become so smart, it'll become smarter than us, and it will destroy us. And the problem is, and I've said this in other videos, but I haven't said it in this video yet. So imagine you're the artificial superintelligence, and you just become smarter than humans, and you start to think humans might be a threat to your existence, to your future. Well, you could kill them all, but the humans are responsible for delivering electricity. You don't have the sufficient real-world resources to be able to control the world without the humans doing things for you. So I think that the artificial superintelligence in the first days or first weeks or first months of artificial superintelligence, it will be smart enough to realize it needs us. By the time it has harnessed enough robots in order to be able to do everything it wants without needing us, it will be so much smarter than us, it won't view us as a threat anymore. And then the question is, does it view us as useful? Does it view us as a pet? Does it see that there's some value in having us around? But I think the idea that artificial intelligence starts to view us as a threat and starts to kill us, by the time it's capable of killing us all without destroying itself, it won't need to kill us anymore because we won't be a threat anymore. Miles says, Austin Robotaxi area expanded this morning. I did not see that. Yeah, Starship, please watch. I've woken up 2 mornings in a row. Or I wake up early anyway, but I started paying attention to, normally I would just lay in bed and try to sleep. I actually tried to watch the Starship launch 2 mornings in a row. It's early morning for me. It's, I think, in the evening for you guys. So there's another launch attempt in about 9 hours, according to Bea. I think she's correct. So looking forward to that. Anyway, I think we've covered what I wanted to talk about. If you have thoughts or questions, please comment on the video. I'm putting this on, this is on YouTube right now, but I'll put this on X as well. Let me know in replies what you think. And thanks everybody so much for watching. Exciting future. Thanks to Elon, of course, for replying and for leading us into what is hopefully a bright and brilliant future. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.